Hello everyone, welcome back to another Scratch video. Today we are going to make a snake game in Scratch, and the name is called Snake Run. So the mechanics of this game is that the snake continuously moves around and we have to control its direction using the arrow keys. And it has to eat the apple. So here are the sprites we're going to need. So we're going to need a snake head, which we will control the direction of. The snake body, which is automatically attached to the snake head, depending on how many apples it has eaten. And the apple. So the apple, you can just get it from the sprite library. And for the snake head and snake body, you just have to draw it. So if I go to the costumes for the snake head, so my dimensions are currently 46 by 27, and then the snake body is 28 by 26, and then the costume too is very similar. So this will automatically be behind the snake's head, but we're going to make a second costume because it's going to load this, then it's going to wait like a very short amount of time and then switch it to costume 2. This is because we're using the color detection thing, which we need to detect if the head is touching this color, and this will be the bottom of its tail. So the head can't quite touch this color because it's so close to the head. It's quite complicated for now, but when you do this program, you'll understand later. So we're going to drag out a when green flag clicked. Then we're going to go to looks and drag out go to front layer. So the reason why we're making it go to the front layer is that when the snake's body comes, it will go a little bit on the head. So we want to make it a bit under the head so we can still see the head. Then I'm just going to set the position, and then we go to wearables, and also you need to make these two wearables called score and cheat mode, and I'm just going to delete my wearable for now because that's just the default wearable that shows up to not confuse you. And also at the start we're going to make this negative 100 as it's going to be facing up at the start, so we can give it some time for the player to turn, because if it touches the edge it will just automatically die. Then we're going to set score to 0, and then we're just going to go to control and drag out a forever loop. Then we're just going to go to motion and drag out move 10 steps, then change 10 to 5. You can make it more than 5 steps if you want, but it will be quite hard, so I'd recommend just using 5 for now. And now let's make the movement mechanics. So we're just going to go to events and drag out one key space pressed. Then we have to change space to up arrow, and then we go to motion, and then what we have to do is make it point in direction 0, because that's basically making it point up. Let's just duplicate this block and then just put it here, as at the start we're going to make the default direction 0 so it has time to turn as it goes up. Drag move 10 steps and change that to 2. So when it turns, it's going to move 5 steps and then turn, but we're going to make it move 2 steps and then turn. So the turn is basically just more smoother, and if it's near the edge it's just going to move 5 steps, and then if it's like close enough to the edge then it will just die. So we're making it move 10 steps to make the turns a bit easier. So we just have to copy paste this 3 more times. So for this one we change this to down arrow, and then for down arrow we're gonna make it point in direction 180, so that's just down, and then change the third one to right arrow, and then make it point in direction 90, so again that's right. And then for the last and final one we're going to make this left arrow and then make the direction -90. So let's see what happens. So if we run it forever, it will go forward. And you'll see if we use the arrow keys, we can actually turn its direction. And you may be confused because you think I'm actually moving it, but I'm not. So if I just leave it like this, it will automatically go forward. So I'm just changing its direction. Alright, so the code for the snake head is not actually done yet. But what I'm going to do is do the apples code, and then we're just going to come back to the snake heads code. So we have to drag out when green flag clicked as usual. And I'm just going to make the size smaller. And then we have to go to control and drag out a forever loop. And then we drag out an if statement. And then we have to go to sensing again and drag out touching mouse pointer. Then change mouse pointer to snake head. Go to variables and then drag out change cheat mode by 1. Then change cheat mode to score. So the cheat mode variable basically just means we're just going to add a cheat mode. So we're not going to use the cheat mode for now. And then what we're going to do is make it go to a random position. So I've done this in my previous episode, so this will just make it go to a random spot on the screen. So it's negative 220 to positive 220 and negative 180 to positive 180. Oh wait, this is negative. I just need to change that. So now we can add a sound effect when the apple is eaten. So just go to sound and then drag out start sound chomp and then drag to the top. So it will just add a sound effect when we eat the apple. So let's run it. So if we hit the apple, it will chomp and then it will go to a different position. And also don't forget to tick the score so you can see the score. So I'm just going to show you what with the score there. As you see, it's going to eat the apple and change the score by 1. So now we're going to add the code for the snake body. So we're just going to drag out when green flag clicked as usual. And then we're going to make it go to costume 1. And we're just going to make it go to costume 1, which is over here. Then we're going to go to control and drag out a forever loop. And then we're going to go to motion and drag out go to random position, change and then change random position to snake head. And then we're just going to go to control and drag out wait 1 second and then change to 0.01. So we're just going to wait a short amount of time, and then we're just going to drag out create clone for myself in the same section. So we're just going to create multiple clones of the body, and so it actually looks like a snake. And then we have to drag out when I start as a clone in the same section again. And then we're just going to make it point in a random direction. So let me just drag out the blocks for now, and then I'll explain you it after I've done it. So then go to operators and drag out pick random 1 to 10. Then drag out the multiplication symbol. Then drag this over here. And then you have to drag it in the pointing direction. So we change 1 to 0, and then we change 10 to 3, and then we type 90 over here. So this basically just means it will pick a random number 0 to 3. So it will pick 0, 1, 2, or 3 and times it by 90. So we're just going to point in either 4 directions. So it's either going to point forward, right, left, and backwards. And then we're just going to make it wait 0.1 seconds. And now we're going to make it switch costume to costume 2. So we're going to make it go into our color detecting costume. And then we're just going to go to control and drag out wait 1 second. Then go to operators and drag out the divided by symbol. And then go to variables and drag out score. And then put it in the first slot over here. Then type 5 over here. So it's just going to stay there for the amount of seconds based on your score. So it won't actually increase it when you eat the apple, but it just creates like a kind of illusion. So it makes you look like it does. So then we're just going to go to control and drag out delete this clone, as we eventually want the snake's body to delete, because when it eats the apples, it's just going to create more anyway. So if it just creates too much, we just want some of it to go away. So it's like not that hard, as later we're going to make it die if the snake head touches its own tail. So now let's run it and see what happens. So as you see, the tail is following the snake head. And you see it's a bit glitchy for now, but once we correct this, it's going to make the tail a bit bigger. So after we make it eat 10 apples, it's actually a lot bigger. And also, for the costume too, each one looks different because we made it point in a random direction, making it look like a kind of pattern, and it actually looks kind of cool. Alright, so now we need to make it die if it touches the edge or its own body. So what we have to do is drag out 2 if statements. So now we're going to go to sensing and drag out touching color, and then this is a sort of purplish color, and then we just place it inside the slot. So what you need to do is we can just move this head over here, and then we just click on here, and then we click on this button. So you just have to select a color on the screen, and then it will show that color over here. So what you need to do in order to do this is just go to your costumes and then select the second costume over here and drag it out to an empty space. Just go to the spot like where it shows the light green or any color you have made it, and then just click on it and you'll see that color is over here. And also you can just copy the color saturation and brightness from the snake body, but this is an easier way. And then what we need to do is go to events, then drag out broadcast message 1 and wait. So this is just the same as broadcast message 1, except it will just make it wait until we do when I receive message 1, and then change message 1 to game over. And then go to sensing and drag out touching mouse pointer, then change mouse pointer to edge. So if it's touching this edge over here, then we're just going to duplicate the same block. So we're just going to make it broadcast the same thing 2 times. So now let's make the when I receive game over code. So we're just going to go to events and drag out when I receive message 1, then change message 1 to game over. And we just move that. So instead of just making a game over sign like we usually do, I'm going to try a different way. So we drag out say hello for 2 seconds, then change hello to you died. It's just a simple way of letting you know that you died for 2 seconds. And then we're just going to go to control and make it stop all. So we're just going to say that for 2 seconds, then it will stop the whole game. So now let's run it and see what happens. So let's make the tail a bit bigger, and then we can make it touch its own tail. Okay, so once the tail is bigger, let's just make it run into itself. And it will say you died because the head ran into its own body. And also, let's see if it dies if we touch the edge, and it will say you died. So yeah, it works. So yeah guys, that is actually the complete game. I know it's actually quite simple, but I'm just going to show you a few bonus things that you can add to your game. So what I did, I just made the same project again, but I added new sprites. So I added a new sprite called bananas, and I also added some code. So what the code I added is really similar to the apple. I'm not going to explain it in full detail, but I'm just going to explain some key points you need in this code. Also, the code for this game is in the description. So if you want to add the bonus things to your game, you just have to click it, and then you will go to my game, and then you can see the code. So for the bananas, actually I made 4 sprites out of it. So we're just going to pick a random costume out of these 4 sprites. And when the snake eats it, it's going to give you 2 points. But it does spawn less frequently than the apple. And the last sprite I used is the fruit platter. So this will give you 3 points. And that's a really good boost. And it's actually a lot rarer than the apple and the bananas. And also I added a cheat mode. So let me just show you the cheat mode really quick. So if you press space, the cheat mode makes you turn rainbow colours, which is really cool. So if you touch the edge, you won't die, and also if you touch yourself, you won't die. So here is the code for the cheat mode. So here we made it rainbow colours, and if key space pressed, we're just going to make it turn the cheat mode on, and if the cheat mode is already on, we're going to turn it off. And also one last bonus thing I added was that you can cut your tail off. So if I just go to cheat mode so I can't die for a second, and then let me just make my score really big. So if you're not in cheat mode and for example you find it like really hard, you can just press C to cut off your tail. It can also be any different button if you want. So here's the code for cutting off your tail. It's actually just a simple 2 blocks. So when C key is pressed, and it will delete this clone. So it will delete all of the snake body clones it has made. And let me just name this snake run, as this game is. So guys, that is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. And bye!